All right, so we're gonna do a little vlog here. What I have in this box is the next themed build I'm doing on this channel. We were asked recently, well, at least I was specifically asked on our podcast, the RTFM show, how I stay motivated to do these themed builds and what makes me think of them and all of that sort of stuff. He referenced the Star Wars build and the Destiny 2 build and the Red Dead Redemption build, which never finished. And it got my brain juices turning again. I'm gonna do a new themed build. So today, I'm gonna show you what I got for it, some plans for it, and then we'll start sort of like mapping it out. This is gonna be a multi-parter video, so strap in and buckle up, because it's gonna get bumpy. Literally, buckle up, it's car related. With no parts markup and only a $75 build fee, Redux gaming PCs are the obvious choice for gamers who demand the best without paying extra. With as little as a few clicks, you'll get a PC optimized for you and the games you play at a price that fits your budget, and all Redux PCs are backed by a 2-year warranty. To see all that Redux has to offer and to start configuring your next PC, head to the link in the description below. All right, so I have been sent the same photo over and over and over of a theme build that someone did, and I think it went up on Reddit or something like that. And everyone's like, Jay, why didn't you do this? You should have done this. Somebody basically took an engine block and just shoved a bunch of computer parts in it and stuck it on their desk. Very cool idea, and I thought, you know what? I can do that. I bet you I could do it better. But I don't want a couple 100-pound iron block chilling on a desk. Instead, being the automotive person that I am, I know that there are these polyurethane engine blocks that are made for doing mock-ups and stuff on, for engines. So what this is a polyurethane Chevy 350 small block. Didn't go with an LS. I thought that'd be a little bit cliche in the sense that, okay, so let's back up. The blocks come in all sorts of, every engine that you can imagine, essentially, for V8s and modern domestics and stuff. What I liked about this one specifically is the fact that it is very light, as you can see, because it's made out of polyurethane. Two, I don't know, something about the old 350 just makes me happy. Sure, LSs are awesome, but this one had the opening on the top for the valve covers. Like you can still bolt a valve cover down to it. But as you can see right here, with it being open, it means I could potentially fit a radiator and such in there. And then two, with this being polyurethane, means that I would be able to very easily drill, pass wires through, figure out where the heck I'm gonna put the motherboard and all that sort of stuff. Now this isn't cheap. This was $450. But you wanna be fair, it's a lot cheaper than many of the cases I've used in these high-end custom builds. So this is obviously gonna need to be painted. I'm going to, and that's what I kind of want to do today. I sort of want to get some things kind of mocked up on it. Maybe get the first coat of primer on this because it's polyurethane. Paint will stick to it. There's a special like primer you would use for it. There's a lot of casting marks that need to be cleaned up. The nice thing about it is you can just razor blade it, make it nice and crisp, and take a file and make the edges all look good. But the first thing I wanted to see is if a 360 or 480 rad, well, a 360 might work really well, but I think, yeah, I'm thinking 480 because what I wanted, and I was like, you know what? I bet you this is the perfect size for a 120. Check that out. Boom, in terms of the width. So I might need to hog this out a little bit. I'm gonna cut some of this out with a Dremel, make it fit a little nicer. But if I was to open up, say down inside there, get some airflow through there somehow, because even the exhaust ports, as you can see, are not real. You can mount a header to it, because again, this is designed to be put into an actual car to mock up if you're doing custom hot rod or race car chassis or something, so you can make sure that you have your clearances set up. You could even attach a bell housing to it. So you got bell housing holes right there. You can even attach spark plugs to it right there. And on the front, you can see we've got all of our front accessory drive holes here, so you could actually put water pumps and stuff on there. So I'm gonna get creative with this one. But the 360, as you can see, is a little bit on the short side. It doesn't make it all the way to the back of the head. So, I mean, it's a little on the larger side, but it could work. So if I had the fittings facing down, so they go on the back side, that actually might work. So So what I'm doing here is you can see on the backside, the fittings sort of point down. Because I thought maybe I could make them go inside the head, but that's not gonna really work. I guess the first thing I have to decide is we're gonna look at the front of the engine, right? This is the back, this is where the transmission would go. I think having the wires kind of come through the back would be neat. But I feel like the squareness of the EK rad maybe doesn't quite work. Oh yeah. More power. Yeah, it kind of looks like valve cover. Now what you have to imagine too is the fans are going to be on here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I make them light up, because there's 4 of them, this is a V8, I feel like that could sort of make it feel like pistons. And the cool thing about the AlphaCool radiators, check this out. So if I unscrew this one, because we've got multi-port, we've got fittings there, there, and there, I don't have to worry about them coming straight down. I can get this centered on the head where I want it, and I can just do 90s out of there. So now we've got what actually is starting to look like an engine. Now I'm thinking ITX for the CPU on this. So this is just a standard size ITX motherboard. Oh, it's just slightly too wide. Actually, I feel like it needs to go in the back because I need the IO stuff to be able to be accessible. So if I had it facing the head, that's clearly not gonna work. So if we go back that way. Hey, Phil! Come here, I need your opinion. Phil hasn't actually seen this yet, so this should be interesting. So here's my polyurethane engine block. Nice. Block. Obviously it needs to be cleaned up and painted, like casting marks and stuff on it, right? So, okay, I was thinking ITX, probably up here on the top somewhere. And you know what I think I might do is I might actually buy some ABS plastic sheets because I have these bolt holes here. And I might just make like this is called the Valley of the Chevy V8. I don't know if they call it the Valley and all the other V8s, but.
Oh my God, it's the Valley?
Not that kind of Valley, stupid. Okay, anyway, this is, so I could take a sheet of ABS and I could bend it how I want and make a nice Valley cover for it. I'm thinking ITX motherboard. Yeah. Right? Not air cooled, but I just want to see how that sort of fits in there. But check this out. The
close for it just being
I know, right?
random.
But the AlphaCool radiators are perfect to sit on top of here.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Oh, that's so good. Here,
but the nice thing is because they're multi-port, I don't have to worry about the ports hitting because they can just come down right here.
Multi-port fuel injection?
Ooh. But what that gives us enough room for here, in the Valley, in the Valley. Oh, is that the content aware thing? Ah! I look like Austin Evans. Put some glasses on there. So what I was thinking too is this gives me room to.
Oh, that's sick.
I don't think I want to do vertical. What if I got another one of those ones like that's in his case, the one that's on a hinge, so I can like angle it how I want or whatever.
I feel like flat's the best because it's symmetrical and also you get the like you can look at it from any angle. You know, it doesn't have to be placed in a certain angle. Yeah, I think flat's gonna work because then it allows me to be able to run the tubes down into the Valley here. But you really do have a perfect amount of room right there. Like for a graphics card and a motherboard.
See, one of the reasons why I went with this block, the old school 350 block instead of a new LS, the dimensions are roughly the same, but all the LSs had like the solid intake style already on here. And I was like, since this was the open Valley and it's a long block, so it's got technically the heads on here with no valve covers, I was like, this is where the components will go. Look how strong Phil is. And then we can use our Cricut and get like, you know, Chevrolet right there.
You should actually use the ports.
I don't think it'll be enough airflow.
Well, it works for an engine.
It works for an engine because there's small combustion chambers and they're under pressure. Anyway, all right, so you guys get an idea of how the parts are gonna be laid out. I'm less concerned about the layout of the parts right now for this video, and I'm more so wanting to show you guys the prep of this block for getting it painted. Because right now, if I were to try and paint it, paint will not stick to it. La 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 la. Where's my files? Okay, so I bored out the cam hole, the ports, or exhaust ports, because I'm assuming we could do something with that. I'm gonna end up putting spark plugs in here and spark plug wires and all that to make it look as much like an engine as I can. I mean, essentially this is a hard foam engine, so it's not gonna be perfect, but considering how far away you're gonna be looking at it and stuff, it's definitely gonna pass the 10-foot test. And once everything's on it, I think it'll look pretty awesome. I'm gonna use a bunch of this self-etching primer. I think regular primer would probably work fine because it's so porous, but I want to see how the self-etching does. It's also kind of a green color, but I want to see what it looks like once it starts to become more uniform. See, those holes from the casting kind of suck, but I just don't think I'm gonna go through all the effort of filling it with Bondo. Because if I did that, then you'll have really smooth spots and then really rough spots. I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board on this one. I'm gonna have to do some research on what paints will stick to this. This won't be the first paint failure I've ever had on this channel. Yeah, I can see wherever you sort of touch it, watch this. See? It's probably still a little oily. This might work out because one of the things I was thinking about doing was actually making it a rusty block, like an old rusty block. And I said that to my wife when I was talking about this. So I said, I don't know if I want this to be clean or junkyard. I mean, the 350 push rod, we'll just call this a flat tappet motor, it's been around since like what, 40s, 50s, something like that. It's an old design, and it's been revised obviously over the decades, but I'm thinking a patina type build on this would look awesome. So if it stays stuck in some areas like it is, and then I start using my rust, if I do my silver, and then I do the rust like that, and then I come over and start Scotch-Brighting it, we'll definitely get a rusty effect. In fact, maybe I'll try that right now before I start cutting on things more. Because see, in some areas, it is sticking pretty good. I need a silver to stick to it. So let me go ahead and first do, my paint drawer is so messed up. Let's do this one here. Is that stainless? Yes. This is some of the most amazing paint ever. And yes, I'm aware that stainless is not cast iron. Because now I could just say all the casting marks is where, you know, erosion, rust, or corrosion over time. This has some brown paint on here right now that's curing. There's some areas that it still scrapes off pretty easy. I'm not too concerned about that, honestly, because if I'm gonna start going with the patina type build, I'll seal the whole thing in with a matte clear, which will help give it strength. It's brown because if you've seen any of our my patina type mods with the case that we made the little like digital football computer out of, the Star Wars build, the Destiny 2 build, if I go for patina, you undercoat with the rusty color you want to show through. That way when you Scotch-Brite through the nice pretty coat, you get the what looks like rust underneath it. But it's holding well enough to where I think this will work. There's certain areas, see, it's not scratching off too easy, but it is. It's also only been on here for a few minutes, so it's not completely cured. It's gonna take some time. But I've decided to go ahead and do it with the patina style, simply because of the fact that the block, it's got all these casting imperfections where there was like air in there. So I'm just gonna play those up to look like corrosion. I'm probably might even bring in my airbrush, and where those are all eaten, I'll make it even more obviously rusty in there, and we'll play off of that. But I think it'll look real nice when it's all said and done. You know why I'm doing an engine-based build? It's because I'm gonna be doing an ultimate like game racing simulator setup here at the studio. That way I have one here at the studio and one at the house, but this will be the computer for it, but we'll integrate this into the rig. So the engine computer is within the rig instead of sitting next to it or something, which I think will be really, really cool. I mean, what if we even got like a real car dash and stuff and put it on there? I don't know, we could play around. So there's today's progress. Now this video is going to continue for you guys, but for me, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a day. And then what we'll do tomorrow is we'll finish putting on some of the silver coat. And then I'm well aware that a lot of it's gonna get damaged and chip off as I'm working on the PC. And then what I'll do when I've got everything sort of rigged up in here like it needs to be, like the radiators mounted. Because here's the thing, I'm gonna obviously now have to make the radiators mount. Because now if I put this on top, it's gonna look way too clean, right? So we'll be doing some, that's gonna look so cool when it's done. Anyway, I'm distracting myself here. When it's all said and done, it will all match perfectly. So for today, I'm gonna get out of here. For you guys, just keep watching. All right, it's day 2. The paint's all dried. It's mostly sticking. It will still scratch off, mostly because again, it's polyurethane, it wants oil-based paint. I don't know if this is even oil-based, but that's fine. We want that sort of a scuffed up look, right? So it's hard to even get it to come off. I want to see, remember I did the red under it, so I'm trying to see now if I can get this to look like an old engine block. I might have to actually use my airbrush on this to get some of the effect I want. And then one thing we have to do today too is I've got to figure out how I'm going to attach the radiators, and then I need to figure out the wiring path and all that sort of stuff. And then maybe I'll paint the radiators today too if I have time, because remember the radiators have to match the engine. They can't be all clean. I don't have any orange paint. I thought about actually tape masking off a line where the heads would be and painting the block orange, like old school Chevy motors, but I'm just not a fan of that so much. Hey look, some of the brown is showing through right there. Now I'm getting some of that old sort of a rusty look to it. So I just started chipping off the paint where I felt like it would look natural. And I need to figure out now how I'm gonna deal with getting things mounted on here. So first things I'm gonna start with is getting proper airflow to the radiators. As you can see, I bored out, or I guess bored out technically, which I think I did a pretty good job by hand, by the way, with my Dremel on the exhaust ports. That's not gonna be enough airflow for the radiator. So we're gonna need more than that. The problem is, this is all solid, that thickness right there. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to, those are solid too, where the spark plugs go. I'm not so sure where I'm gonna be able to pull air in, but I guess we'll figure it out. That's part of what these projects are all about, right? Too bad, I should just put holes on this side of the head too, right? Intake, exhaust, intake, exhaust. I don't know, we'll figure it out. So in terms of airflow direction, I'm thinking down and out the exhaust, just like an engine, only instead of coming through an intake side of the head, which has no holes, we're gonna just take it from the top, like this. So I tape these fans on there. That's already looking so cool. I wanna see if maybe these exhaust ports might be enough to actually allow air to exhaust out. Now remember, I'm going with 2 fat 480s. It's 1 graphics card and 1 CPU. That's way more than we need. So even if the airflow isn't optimal, at least we will be able to get enough airflow, I think, to matter. Because I think those exhaust ports, in terms of the total area of their opening, is probably more than most of these crappy cases these days that have the solid fronts without mesh. So if it's good enough for that, to feed your entire system, I think 2 of them, or technically 8 exhaust ports, should be enough for this. So I honestly believe it will be more than enough airflow. So before I commit to it, let's at least test it. You know, pretend like we actually do science around here and think about things before we do them. So what I'm looking for here, okay, wow, there's a lot of air coming out of there. Yeah, there's actually a decent amount of air coming out of the exhaust ports. Wow. Well, the exhaust ports, that's what they're meant to do. Okay, yes, but they're also under high pressure. And the combustion chamber in there is only a few cc's versus, you know, the total area. Hey, Phil, come check this out. We have a functioning engine. Phil!
Oh yeah, no, it's totally... Remember I was joking you should use the headers as an actual exhaust for the hot air?
Yeah.
That's freaking hilarious.
Well, if I add tubes to it, it's gonna add a little bit more resistance.
Oh, and you did 4 fans, duh, because 8.
Right, I need to paint the radiators to match, right? To like be weathered, but can you see the build now coming together? Yeah. I'm happy with this. I approve of this. I like orange because it's got that old school kind of a look to it. That's cool. That's so cool. Now I just got to figure out how I'm gonna mount it down. That's gonna be the hard part because I can't screw it in from the bottom, and that's where the screws are. So one thing I want to do with this sheet of ABS, maybe center it, and I want to heat the sides so I can fold it under. The way I can mount them down like that, and this will be almost like an intake, and then that will allow me to be able to mount my motherboard. See, because this is gonna go into racing sim, I've got to remember which way is gonna be facing us. So if the front of the engine is facing that way, you're gonna see the back of the engine more. if the engine needs to face the proper way anyway. I mean, it could go either way. I still feel like the front of the engine would be better because I could attach some bracketry to the front of this and make it look like a real engine with the pulleys and the belts and all that sort of stuff. I mean, if it's in the racing sim, it'd be facing the wrong way, but seeing the business end of it would be nice. So I still think it should go facing you, or it can go next to it. These are the little things that kind of become a pain in the butt. But that's fine. So what I need to do right now is I need to mark where I'm gonna bend this. That way I can get it bent at the right spot. So bending ABS or acrylic, tubing and stuff, that's all the same when it comes to plastic sheets. It's not that big of a deal. Use the edge of the table here. This will be our bending guide, and we're gonna take these clamps. If you look right here, you'll see I've got the line overhanging the table slightly because I have to account for the radius of the bend. It's not gonna bend perfectly on that line. So you have to account for the radius of it. That way it bends then essentially where the line is. So ABS is really resilient, and unlike acrylic, it takes a lot of heat to get to finally start to bend. So I just keep hitting it with the heat gun, working it, bending it a little bit at a time. Try not to burn yourself, but you just gotta keep working it. One thing you wanna keep in mind though is as you heat it and stuff, it will stretch a little bit, it will dimple, and it will sort of warp, as you can kind of see. The sides are gonna wanna heat up faster than the middle. I also like to heat both sides of it. That'll make it bend easier. It also cools very quickly, so as soon as you take the heat off of it, you wanna start bending it right away to make sure it's nice and straight. Cools off very quickly, like I said. See, it's already doesn't want to bend. Now, if the heat gun's taking too long and you got a torch, you can get it to heat up much faster with a torch. Again, with the torch, very high heat, very concentrated, very fast. So you want to make sure you don't hold it in one spot too long. We'll come back and show you guys what the final product looks like. Okay, so the nice thing about this having the intake manifold screws on there is that I can drill holes here that line up to pass a bolt through, and then have some holes on this side to access, getting a wrench in there. But there's our first mock-up of our valley cover. The thing with plastic's a little flimsy, so I'm probably gonna end up, not with this necessarily this piece, but I'm probably gonna end up making some sort of a sheet metal top piece to give a little more rigidity up there. But before we end this video, to sort of give you an idea of what we figured out today, we figured out the head exhaust ports are plenty of airflow for our radiators. So imagine that up there. And then, I don't know, for now, we'll just say horizontally mounted graphics card somewhere like that. Maybe it's sort of crooked. See, you see how flimsy the plastic kind of is? So we'll figure that out for rigidity. Make some sort of spine or something. And then the motherboard somewhere back there. Yeah, you can see this is definitely starting to take shape. So not bad for day one. One thing I'm thinking about doing too in terms of the wiring is I did drill out this hole right here for the cam. You guys saw that because this was normally sealed. So I could actually pass wires through here up into the valley because there's a hole that goes through, technically sideways, but I'll drill one straight up through. And then the wires can come down into the engine, and I can use an engine harness, harness material to make it look very engine-like. Anything that I'm not gonna hide a lot of the wires because engine harnesses, right? So I'll probably have the cables be in an engine harness strapped down coming along here. And I think it's all gonna look pretty awesome. I still have to figure out how I'm gonna mount down the rads. We do have these holes right here, but that's where we're gonna go ahead and end this one. If you guys have any suggestions for this build, put it down in the comments below, or better yet, hit me up on Twitter because I'm always up on Twitter because I'm an idiot. And we'll see what we can do. But I'm really happy the way this is turning out, and I think it's gonna look awesome as our racing simulator PC. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, see you in the next.